Hi, this is Tanya Weir and welcome to Spunky Cards. Today I'm going to show you this fabulous lion card. The lion is from the stamp set Zoo Review and has a lot of fun animals in it. And as you can tell, I have done the sky in different ways. You can either use your Blendo pens and get kind of a streaked sky effect, or you can use sponge daubers and get a very smooth sky effect. And I'm going to show you the sponge daubers today. So to build our card, I usually work from the inside out because I never know how I'm going to color my image, and then I pick the colors afterwards. So let's start with the lion. This piece of paper is 2.5 by 2 3/4, and because I cut it first, we need to use the Stamp-A-Majig to get our line on there. A lot of times in the creative process, I actually work from with a bigger piece, and then I cut it to fit and trim it afterwards. But for my clubs and classes, I like to cut the pieces out for everyone first, which means then I need the Stamp-A-Majig. And I've done videos on this before. You can look up the tutorial, or you can watch me here real quick. And when my piece here is a little small, I actually like to stick it down. Alrighty, this is how I want my line on my piece. Now I'm going to be working with blender pens when I color this line, and when I do that, our Stampin' Up! Ink pads are wonderful. The black one is waterproof, but if you do a lot of coloring, it tends to bleed. So I'm going to switch to my Stays On, but I don't ever want to stamp on my Stamp-A-Majig piece of plastic and Stays On. So let me ink up my line. This is how I want my line to be placed on my piece. And here we go. Lion is on. Hear him roar. Which means we're ready for some coloring. Here I am using my blender pen and my chalks. And the very first time that I colored the line, I actually had my phone right here, and I googled line pictures, and I used the coloring out of one of the pictures. So for my grass, I like to start from the bottoms up. I'm going to pick up some always artichoke and streak it up. And you just need a little bit of patience, and this picture comes together. Instead of chalks, you can also use your ink pads and the blender pens. That is completely up to you. And then before you switch colors, we have to bleed it out. So let's see, for my line, I've been practicing this a little bit and done a few of these, so I know that I like to hang out in 1, 2, 3, 4 colors for my line. And I just start to shade him in. Pick up some of the darker ones. And if I knew the line was going to be equally brown, I would have stamped my image in just the basic black classic ink. But because I know I'm going back and forth in between colors, and right now I'm picking up, this is So Saffron, and I'm going to be working that in with the Close to Cocoa that I just used. Because I'm working them back and forth, I decided to use the Stays On. Now if I know I'm going to be doing a ton of blending, I will actually switch to watercolor paper. look at this line getting some personality here. It's a little more dark in the back here. I love a reddish tint in my line, and I just make sure that all of the colors that I'm using are a little bit everywhere in the line. So a little bit in the mane here too. And every one of these is going to turn out a little bit different, which is the beauty of the set. All right. And that's already good enough. Now, as I was showing you, if you don't have any sponge daubers, you can very carefully pick up blue and streak it across to create a sky. In our case though, I am using my sponge dauber, and I'm going to make sure it's dry, and I'm going to pick up some of my chalk and very gently I'm going to rub it across. And then work it in. I may need to do this 3 or 4 times, but I rather pick up little bits and apply a little bit at a time than too much, because it's easier to add on than to take off color. So I come in close to the line, but not quite close, or not all the way, because if there's a little bit of light to blue right around the line, that actually adds to the dramatic effect of the card. Can you see how it's coming together? And then I also have my Always Artichoke dauber, and I'm making sure that it's nice and dry. Because I don't mind moving my sponge daubers in between chalks and the ink pads, but both times I want it to be nice and dry. I don't want any chalk on top of my ink pad. Picking up some of that Always Artichoke. And I also don't want to take the ink, because it will be stronger, onto my chalk. Isn't that beautiful? I just love it. Alright, so now we are ready to build our card. Like I said, this piece is 2 3/4 by 2.5. And I'm going to use my bone folder to get it off here. There we go. And then what I like to do is I like to curl in 2 of the edges. So curl right here and curl right there. That's going to be perfect. And then we apply that right here. And attach. And then I'm going to also curl that. And let's see. Our card base is Marina Mist, just like the sky. And now it's up to you whether you want to mount it right here and have a greeting on the bottom, or if you want it smack dab in the center. You know what? I have done all of these like this, so we're going to do this one this way. But I would like to add a little bit more drama to my background. So I'm going to grab my Marina Mist stamp pad. I've already got my sponge dauber, and I'm going to rub it so that I get all my chalk off. And I'm going to ink up and apply this to the outside of my card. and I instantly add depth. Very, very cool. Oh, I'm so excited. Can you tell I love making cards? Okie dokie. Now you have two choices. I love a torn look on a wild card. So I can either attach it first and tear around it, or the first two corners or two sides I actually like to tear without, because I find it easier to tear without. And then I will hold this right here and use it as a guide. And then once I've torn it, then I decide how I want, which way around I want it. Sometimes I turn it around. Well, this corner is just sticking out way too much. There we go. Quite like that. Oops. Very cool. Now if you wanted to, you could also sponge these sides, but I am good. Attach that right there. Very, very cool. Yep, this will make a perfect happy birthday greeting card, or any occasion. Thinking of you, just a great guy card. And if you don't like the sponging, the previous look looked great too. And you really can coordinate your colors. You can go to your scrap drawer and figure out how to use some of those beautiful leftover pieces that you have to create a very stunning, dramatic look. Thanks for watching. I am so glad you joined me today, and I hope you check back often. Goodbye.